Farah's in there. The field, Indurain, licking his lips.
Okay, I'm not even on the bloody bike yet, bloody hell.
Never won the title, but he's a world champion now for the very first time in his career. A few days ago, winning the time trial championship from his teammate Abraham Olano.
Oh, it's a bit of a
the man who has proved himself
shit
time
start.
and time again, fastest time trial rider in the Tour de France, now deservedly the world time trial champion. But in fairness, Chris Wardle unable to defend the title he won last year because of that accident in the prologue time trial in the Tour de France. Chris is making good progress. Rob Sorensen here, very resplendent in the colours of Denmark, and that's Paolo Lanfranchi. It doesn't seem too keen. And Dimitri Klishenberg, the Russian rider, number 14. And Javier Mourion is number 88. And the riders now have covered 177 kilometres. This is a small chase group here being led by Udo Boats, the German rider. But they're moving out onto lap number 11, and we have here Rolf Sorensen, and looking for a little bit of help from the rest of the riders here, and not wanting any of it. The other two that are broken clear here, Israel Achua, and the rider setting the pace, a man who always seems to perform at World Championship level, Dmitry Konishev, the Russian rider who was the first Soviet to really make impressions on the professional scene. Silver medalist who went with Le Mans, was the world champion, and indeed he pipped Sean Kelly, pushing him into the bronze medal slot in Choppery. And that was in 1989. The field behind now are still those that have got the strength hanging on. Richard Beren, Zenon Gaskula. Just around the other side there, we've got Olivier Wincon. Another man we can expect something of, but Steve sadly was out of the Tour de France this year, 12th hour, because of problems in those places we can't mention. Now there we have Israel Choa. But as you can see how the weather has changed now. We've gone into a storm here, and this is just a gentle reminder that the weather was never intended to be hot and sunny in Vitama, and that's the way it's going to be. I think now the clouds are very heavy indeed. Now the Colombians know all about this, but look at the rain here. They climb yet again. Choa setting the pace with Dimitri Konishev. We're on to lap number 11 of 15 circuits. And Pascal Richard, former champion of Switzerland, continuing to have another great season, setting the pace of what is now a very small group indeed here. One or two names that I can tell you in that group. We've got Miguel Indurain, Mauro Gianetti, Puccini, Richard Berenc, Abraham Olano, Oscar Pelliccioli, Javier Mourion, Mario Chiacucci. I've seen Marco Pantani. Those riders still surviving what is certainly a war of attrition. And look at this now, as we go round that corner, somebody didn't make it at all and has gone straight on. But this is the danger of the descents in the wet here. As riders now are finding that they're losing complete traction on those corners. They are glacial. Let's have a look at that again. And that is a Colombian rider who's gone, and I think it is Ramirez who's gone down. But he can't fall in a more convenient spot than the wheel with the waiting ambulance, so he should be okay. Was really very much a high-speed crash. He should get back on the bike pretty soon. But that's the leaders here now, and we've come off the mountain, and we're finding a little bit dry weather conditions again. Remember, at the bottom of the circuit here is still 8,300 feet above sea level. Those riders with intention this year have gone to great lengths, not to mention expense, to train properly and prepare altitude for this event. 5 hours and 16 minutes. The riders have been clear now, as these two riders still stay clear. So moving to lap 12, there's a consolidation of the group behind. The lead was previously 1 minute and 25 seconds. It's come down as we go out onto lap number 12. And the Italians again are very active. They come through and stop the clock. 56 seconds is now the gap to Achua and Konishev. Marco Pantani is now winding things up yet again. Here's a man everybody would love to see turn in a world championship performance. And I must say, seeing the all-wheel drive vehicles here, one of the two wheels reminds me of the old P-Swiss, the shop window Eastern European cycling 60s and all follow those in army vehicles. Well, conditions are not requiring yet four-wheel drive, although the way up on the mountain is enough to give everybody a thorough soaking. This is the chase group is trying to assemble himself now. Looks to be over 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 or 9 people here. The Italian rider there, number 59, is Casagrande. And the little man there from 40, that would be Oscar Pelliccioli. Probably remembered best in the United States by his King of the Mountains victory at the Tour de France a year or so ago. And then on from the town of Vuitton, a lot of pressure too to do well. Well, he's doing all right now. But he's up in the chase.
Come on.
Here by Miguel Indurain, the man everybody is saying had performed. We know that after his great time trial ride.
That's so fucking unfair.
Also here, ride number 83.
Okay, look.
Continues to progress here. This team is tremendously strong this year. Maybe we're seeing a swing away from the Italians towards the Spanish. Remember the Spanish, by the way, never won the World Cup. Two Italian players, Pelliccioli and Pantani. The race now taking on a much more serious approach to this mountain route. Either going up or going down. Back with the leaders here is there Ochoa and MTB KLINGENBERG. Nothing is far from this so a long breakaway by the Belgian on the green. He picked up and washed away on the line. He's got a good future in front of him. He's only 22 years of age, by the way, and going blue. It was a very good ride last year when he was fifth in the Paddington Stables. Just 33 seconds now, and judging by the speed of it up down from our helicopter, it won't be long before we see that chase group come back. MTB KLINGENBERG perhaps thinking of the ride still to come that lies ahead, and he wants to turn in another good world title performance. He's hitting the moment now to put a little weight behind this breakaway. He may already sensed the fact that Ochoa was not the rider that he would. Coming on to lap number 12. Completing lap number 12 rather. About halfway round the course here. And still on the front there, the very selected with about 15 men. And in fact, one or two more Italians are here now. Number 59 is Francisco Casagrande, having a great season. It's all started out with a stage win in the Tour of Calabria back in March. And since then, he had a great Spring Classic season, 4th in Flèche-Wallonne and 5th the Bastogne-Liège. And second in the Tour of Romandy in Switzerland in May. So deserving his place on the Italian team, and this man, well, he certainly deserves his place, and he's dancing away on the pride. If anybody should love this mountain, it should be Michael Pantani. He's turned up the pressure just that little bit now. He's decided on lap number 12 it's time to start breaking up the field. Jimenez is trying to get on terms with him there for Spain, but it looks as though it's going to be Pantani using the leapfrogging effect to start with the two leaders who are away, Ochoa and KLINGENBERG. But he's going to find that there's no strength in this leading group. When he gets there, he's going to have to continue and hope that somebody perhaps will join him. And I cannot believe that he's anticipating another 3 laps of this circuit alone. So Pantani has made his move. He's got up alongside the two leaders and left them completely for dead, although you've really got to hand it to Israel Ochoa. He's just gone round and left KLINGENBERG and he's joined the new express which appears to be going forward. So Pantani keeps the rhythm high. This could be the first serious selection now. This could well break up that chase group. There's still an awful lot of riders back there. The Italians, as always, one for all and all for one, will not be counting on the reaction of Michael Pantani. Spain have been particularly active today. Indurain quite clearly feels he has performed, and it looks as though his Lieutenant Jimenez is coming up. And this is all that seems to be left at the moment of this group. Richard is in this group, or in the group just behind our picture at the moment, trying to drag the racing back into contention. Gianetti now recovering from his injuries that kept him out of the Tour de France, is also in this group. Remember, he was the man who shocked us all with back-to-back wins in the World Cup in April and May time. Abraham Olano, the Spanish riders have got 4 men up here. And they may even have 5, but this is Jimenez at the front. There could be 4 back in that back. Jimenez has scored to Ochoa. 3, 6, 8, and 9 riders in what is a very select chase group here at the minute. Federico Escartin, rider 83, turned pro 5 years ago now. He's only just started to show us his real true talent. In his 7th in this year's Tour de France, and now looking for a good World Championship as well. There's Jimenez. He's finding it a little bit hard to capture the man who's danced away on the mountain though, and the wet roads, Marco Pantani. A true mountain climber, a life we haven't seen really since the retirement of men like Usain Bolt. Just sits there and concentrates. Realises his young age. All head, that's the style. And now we're looking as though they might be just trying to reorganise themselves behind. Remember, there are a lot of Spanish riders in this group. Not least this man here who's setting the pace right now, Miguel Indurain. No reason to panic just yet. Plenty of time. Pascal Richard sitting firmly on the wheel of Indurain, and it looks as though it's going to may all come back together this time. At least there's Richard on 31. Mauro Gianetti. There were 1 or 2 French riders in this group before the attack came. Pascal Derbe and Richard were there. They seem to have disappeared very, very quickly under the attack. Indurain the first to reach it. And the climb continues, and what a difficult climb this is. The amateur race was equally as exciting and very arduous indeed. That was a qualifying event for the road team for the Olympic Games in Atlanta. And got a tremendous entry, record entry by the way for the World Championships, on the 75 nation entering. Well, I wondered if that would have been the case if they hadn't been necessary for selection to the Olympic Games. Proved to be a perfect carrot though for the South American nation, and they've had a tremendous World Championships here. Jimenez, number 87. This is the group that we're trying to get clear with now. Mauro Gianetti. 2 World Cup victories, currently eyeing 3rd in the World Cup, just those ones for 100 points, 50 points. Miguel was 82 in this event. Man who's had 2nds in the World Championship, but never the World Champion. That's something I think he's beginning to get to him. So many people are saying he's a man only for the month of July for the Tour de France. In itself is not true, because of course he won the Tour of Italy in the month of June. And yet he never seems to worry about the World Championship. But I think this year he's come here thinking very much of these championships. But these 2 have been dropped slightly from the main field. Number 1 is Rincon, number 84 is Abraham Olano. Olano, I think, and Rincon are coming up from the split there. They recovered from the attack by the counter-attack by Indurain as he went up to Pantani, and those 2 are getting up to the leaders again. So Rincon is keeping the Colombian flag flying high at the moment. Until he gets on, but I think he will want to go to the top of the hill here. Olano, 2nd place in the World Time Trial Championship, and having a tremendous season too. Great battle of Olano and Laurent Jalabert in the Tour of Spain, which was unprecedented held in September this year. It will be next year. And he proved to be the man in charge of the time trial. He's finding his legs again in major events. He's got the form, and he's got himself up to the leaders as well. you ever get a chance to look at the face of Abraham Milano, just watch him, because he looks almost identical to Miguel Indurain. Quite uncanny. There's Rincon, number 1. He's back and relieved about it too, by the look of it. Looks to be about 10 riders forming in this lead group now. Notable absentees, probably Richard Lorenz, who's a big noted absentee because he's been riding well all day. Fulham and out of this group as well. And they look to be going quite well. The risk is always there in these descents because the brakes never work quite as well as they should. On the slide, if you apply the brakes to the rim, you get that film of water between brake and rim. The bike gives you that horrible feeling it's accelerating rather than slowing down. These are the strong men of world cycling right now, because on this circuit you can't cheat your way around and hope to win the sprint, as 1 or 2 world titles have been decided in the years gone by. And this circuit, come out, you've got to give it the best in the world. Just a minute ago, we've got this car team from Kentucky getting down there. And we have the rider in the red jersey, I think, could well be Puccini. Now they've only just gone clear. And the little select group is now deciding what they're going to do about it. One thing is for sure, that the Spanish have got this race under control at the moment. Luigi Puccini is a Swiss rider with Stefan Norway, and that's him there, number 33. And he's read this move quite well. He's got himself a very good rider in S-Car team, because he is another rider who's having a tremendous season. He's a professional back in 1990. And he had himself a clutch of wins as an amateur, almost 100 wins as an amateur rider before he turned pro. And now he's got himself into the lead. Going out here onto lap number 13. And Puccini and S-Car team have got themselves about 15-20 seconds gap. Says 10 on the screen at the moment. Clock is on 3. Now we're moving. Now on lap 20, bringing through around about 25 seconds. Through the feed station, out onto lap 13, 3 laps still to go. Richard Lorenz appears to have been cooped somewhat. Ron Sorensen, who's just gone through the left of our picture. Now this is the group that he's trying to bring back. They've come back onto the back of the group here now, and Indurain has gone down the line to check them all out, and he's done so. Grandi is also here now, so we've had quite a coming up togetherness on the main chase field. But they've slowed down, an indication that they did slow down, and I would say it's because the Spanish have turned off the power at the front, because we've got here now Escartine and Puccini trying to go clear. Puccini making a good move here. Now the Spanish are right in this World Championship, like we've seen the Italians do year in and year out. They put men away into breakaways all the time. They don't care which one gets the world title as long as the country succeeds and they all share in the kitty. And right now that's exactly what the Spanish have been doing throughout the day since they picked up the Frenchmen. And it's been left the Italians to try and put matters to rights. Giannetti, 82, big move himself. Number 1 is Rincon, 59 is Casagrande on the far side. Back to here at the moment, at least, Marco Pantani. Richard Lorenz is also there. Ross Sorensen, the man for the single day circular and the man for the World Championships as well. And Jose Jaime Gonzalez is number 10, still flying the flag for Colombia. So Colombia has 3 riders here. Also here is Remy Cachorro, who is in that breakaway with Connie. He's done extremely well to stay with the action right at the front, despite that attack with Connie. Connie is no longer in. In Spain and Italy, with an intrusion from Colombia, the way the action is coming at the moment. just off our camera. You see how he looks like Miguel Indurain? This is Lambank. Take a little climb up Pelliccioli. Well suited to this group to go further up the climb. They're not really escaping it, but Mr. Vermelinger, the connoisseur, red hat on. I'm not sure whether his car should be right in the gap yet, although it's probably bigger than it appears on television. They can see the car, they can see the two leaders, and the Italians are having to do all of the work now because they're under the Spanish escort. Pelliccioli making the rhythm. The gap is 15 seconds, so they're holding. Cantoni, the rank looking very, very concentrated. Escartini is doing the majority of the riding here. Puccini. His only win this year, by the way, was a national championship rather in Switzerland, which he's done for the second year. You may remember that Ricci Puccini with the riders made that long breakaway in the San Sebastian Classic this year. So perhaps he was in search of just topping off his form, ready for the world title. Well, it could have worked. He's in at the kill, and there aren't many riders left in this race. 98 at the start, and I think we're looking at no more than 35 riders still on the course. Once over the top of this hill, it's down to the finishing line, and then the riders about a lap and a half from the finish. All the time by Escartini. Puccini has made the move. I'm not sure now he's got the legs to push it home. It seems to me, although this breakaway is clear, it is well under control of the chasers behind. You can see by the way the riders struggle along this climb just how steep it is. Our cameras really belie the climb. It is a vicious, vicious climb for World Championship. It's probably the most difficult circuit since 1980 in Solange, when Bernard Hinault won what was most certainly an elimination race there, as riders each lap just simply dropped away rather than a breakaway forming, and in the end Hinault was magnificent. He got his world title on a very difficult course down in France in Solange. The rhythm of Fernando Escartini. Finished 12th in Tour de France in 1994, went 5 places better in 1995. He's always ridden well in the Tour of Spain. He was 10th in that in 93, in 1994. He was right up there again this year. So he continued to improve despite the fact that he's moving into his 6th season as a professional next year. And despite the weather, huge crowd on the climb. This is the place to be. This is where the race was bound to be decided or lost. And these two riders still hanging on to a tenuous lead. It's no more than 25 seconds as we speak. There's somewhere in the region of 16 riders now in that chase group. Chase group, we've got Rincon. Dimitri Konchev, by the way, is still here. He hasn't been dropped, and neither has the rider who's in that breakaway with either Israel Ochoa. Francesco Casagrande is here. Jose Maria Jimenez, Fernando Escartini is in the breakaway and still trying to keep away from what is a fair number of his own teammates that they won't be chasing, of course. Zenin Yaskulu is here. And although I haven't caught a glimpse of him, the list of riders were told Andy Hampson is also here. As far as I know now, Andy is the only American still out on the course. Mike England was the last American rider to retire. Remember, Mike had a great time trying to finish 8th in the World Championship, so the World Championships already will see him in a great success. In the feeding zone, a welcome sight. When you always tell a serious bike race, when the pressure's on, they don't stop to snatch the drinks as they continue to apply the pressure. Pelliccioli is actually keeping huge gear tearing there, and he's being marked now by Abraham Olano, whose season has gone from strength to strength. thing was always certain: this was never going to be a race for the sprinters, and none has survived here. We've got all the climbers, men that we've often called in the big races around the world on the biggest mountains. They are surviving. This is their World Championship this year. It was always going to be that way. Escartine is a good climber. Martini perhaps not quite as strong, but he's at the moment in the breakaway, and they're still going clear. They continue to climb. The riders will not see them now. They'll climb down the side. Martini goes through on the inside, quite prepared to make the pace. The race starts to tip a little bit, and soon they'll be going down the hill. And Alana just behind him. Alana has only been a pro since 1992. He's just 25 years of age, good time. Nice mature time of life to be a professional bike rider. One in Lincoln, still with his teammates in front of him. I think it was Gonzalez. It wasn't, it was Ocho, I mean, Ross Sorensen, tail end Charlie on the string. Still opening up here. They're looking into this race. There's no Stars and Stripes jersey there for Andy Hampson, who's still on the course, but he's riding round out of touch of this main field. And number 14, sitting at the back of that group ahead of Ross Sorensen, is Dmitry Konishev, so he's still very much in there. Now, when they get down off this mountain here, they'll be completing the 13th circuit, and they're still hanging on to the best part of a half a minute's lead. There's no reason to panic yet. A lot of riders here, like Sorensen, look to me as though they're just trying to survive rather than take part in the race right now. Konishev and Sorensen riding at the back of this race. Konishev riding the Turn Pro in 1989, and then popped up with a silver medal in the World Championship at Chambéry. He's had the pleasure, as is for all riders, to win the final stage 2 of the Tour de France, which he did 1991. It would be the year that our man Jamali Nabu Japarov crashed inside the line in that spectacular field. This road's absolutely treacherous, and that's why the riders are picking their way down rather delicately at this point in time. They're using the pressure up them rather than downhill. There's the ambulance waiting on the bend. Quite clear that bend was recognised by Becky. It's clearly the one to put the ambulance on, and we already had a fall right on the corner there, the front leaders. Riders start to just put their own way down and don't stay too close to the mountain, just in case. This descent takes the rider back down to only 8,300 feet. And then there's virtually no respite before they start to climb up the mountain again. It's unlikely, according to the world body of the UCI, that there will ever be a world championship held at altitude again. The opinions are that it shouldn't be held at altitude again, but on this occasion, one has to say that the world championships here in Colombia have been a success. You should imagine that the man that picks up this type of field, he's more than justly earned, because it's got to come from the riders in our picture at the moment, unless of course it's going to turn up front. But in this leading group, certainly the selection has been made now, something like 30 kilometres still to race. Italians on the defensive for a change, because the Spanish are playing the cards in great order. Lincoln sitting at the back, still waiting and hoping he might be able to get away, perhaps with a lap to go. Ross Sorensen here, the only Dane as so often years at the World Championship, never left in the thick of the action. Richard Perrin, the Frenchman who shot the pain in the Tour de France when he wore the yellow jersey for a day, now very much in the established star of the second. Despite his years as a professional, he seems to be in his twilight years, possibly 2 World Cup wins this year. And flanking again, this cramped style and long reach flanking to try desperately now to pull the Italians back into this action. They're having a real problem here and calming down Felice Puttini and Escartini. Puttini sharing as much of the work with Escartini now. He seemed to go through a bad patch, but he's come back. And we know that perhaps he doesn't like the hill quite so much as Escartini. And the Swiss have 3 riders up here in this leading group, because they've also got Pascal Richard. There's Dumbo Pantani, as they call him, just checking something out with our cameraman. He's quite a character actually, and a very popular addition these last couple of years to the world circuit. Apart from having the legs of an angel, he's also got quite a personality. Indurain in at the kill yet again in the World Championship. A man that everybody thinks can't sprint. Believe me, if he thinks he can win a world title, he will produce a sprint that could well take the title out. He won the sprint that took only Ludwig away from the silver medal the year Lance Armstrong won in that very wet Oslo. Well, the course wasn't quite as difficult in Oslo, but certainly the weather was just as cold and miserable. Miguel also got a bronze medal in the World Championship in 1991 in Stuttgart. So he is a man for a World Championship and would really love to pick up the world title. The 2 men who featured most in last year's World Championship in Agrigento in Italy in this breakaway, as we look at the 2 leaders here coming out in 8 lap number 13 and go out on 14. Richard Lorenz finished 3rd last year and Dmitry Polishev finished 5th. Luckily, Fabio Chiappucci, who didn't win this leading group up for a 4th, he was in the medals last year in the world title as well with silver. And so still they dangle agonizingly close. Just look at this, they can receive. The gap looks to me to be about 20 seconds or so. Not very far, except that that mountain in the middle of this circuit is rather daunting to everybody, and if you hesitate too long, you might not close the gap. They are now 35 kilometers from finish. 6 and a quarter hours in the saddle, and you can expect the best part of another hour of racing here. Pelliccioli of Italy setting the pace. The gap as they went through the finishing line there was just about 25 seconds. The red tackled to the back. Medalist, here we go. Whoops, Daisy. Over goes the gap. The do it was empty. Not sure whether that means it's a tailwind or not. Quick snatch of Richard again flying the road back here for France. Looking along at a thoroughly forgettable season as world champion. I haven't seen him ride a single race in his rainbow jersey this year. It started out so badly, yet he came to Colombia. He was one of the first riders to see this circuit. The road wasn't even made up. He reported how difficult it would be. He's certainly right there. And then when he goes back to France, he finds the Groupement team in the throes of leaving the sport under a cloud of controversy, which is a great shame for him. And let's hope that things brighten for him next year. These 2 riders, Puttini and Fernando Escartini. I have to say, either of them would be a surprise. Escartini really seems a total surprise. And much the power of what is an extremely good Spanish team behind him, he's got the confidence to go on. He is forcing the Italians especially to waste energy in the pursuit, and he will do it. 2 Swiss riders here, sitting a little bit down the line, Richard and Ginetti. The Colombians also not throwing them back into this race because they know the Italians and their great reputation in the World Championship. They will do all that's required. Escartini has the benefit of Milano and Indurain here, but sitting nicely in the line and not doing much at all. Just keep an eye on the proceedings. And also in this group for Spain is Jose Maria Jimenez. Every reason to block off. Israel Ochoa, taking a drink at the back. He's had a great day. Despite that long breakaway, he doesn't seem to have been trouble at all in keeping at the back of this race. Neither does the hometown boy, Olivier Rincon. There's Dimitri Konishev. And number 10 is Jose Jaime Gonzalez from Colombia. 59 is Casagrande. Ron Sorensen of Denmark. Pantani is 67. Like all climbers, they never seem to stay in the saddle very long. They're frisky. And continuing along the line of this very select group, 94 is Richard Berlin, 31 is Mauro Gianetti. In front of him, a former champion of Switzerland, Pascal Richard, and a stage winner of Tour de France, and Besançon, I remember. Number 87 is Jimenez. Number 82 is Indurain. In front of him is his double, Abraham Olano. And then we have Lanfranchi, and pending away at the front, we have Pelliccioli on the Ponty squad. And the Italians are being left to do all the work here. And they're a proud nation, and they want to continue. But I can only think now that they're working in the hope that they can pull this back together again for Marco Pantani to win. Because neither Lanfranchi nor Pelliccioli, I think, have got quite the pedigree to take out this world title, not in this sort of company, but certainly Marco Pantani has. But first of all, they've got to pull back these two. They're slightly reducing the gap. It's gone down from 25 seconds to 15. There's a group of 16 riders behind now. And Puttini is beginning to wonder whether it's all worthwhile. Escar team is now Mr. Louis Wermelinger, the chief commissaire, has pulled out of the gap all of the vehicles that have noted that, the riders, and there they are, the 16 pursuers. Italians doing it all. Pelliccioli, the lion's share as well. And behind the two Italians, the Spanish still trying to disrupt the reaction. And behind we have Pascal Richard, and then the rest of the line in a long straight line. It's not a working formation at all. They're all lined in the drift in the drafting system behind the two Italians. Nobody prepared to do. That's the difference between professional and amateur racing. Everybody has their own reasons to make the pace, whereas with amateurs they will tend to all do a little bit each and possibly feel like breaking a lot quicker. Tactics are being played here, and they're weakening the Italian team by this great chase. At the moment, it has got to be in the favour of the Spanish. They've played their men up front, and they've made other teams chase them down. Now then, sir, about this bicycle. Well, I think the lightest machine required on this course is for sure, and that one I don't think would make a lap. It's been a terrific circuit in many ways, great for the spectators, but terribly, terribly difficult for the riders to participate in. There were only 98 brave souls came to this start line, and there are now fewer than 25 still left in the race. Rather sad in one way that Claudio Chiappucci has crashed out. It was a spectacular fall, but he's uninjured, by the way. But we've lost a man there that would have been very useful in this attack. I mustn't forget Casagrande, of course, on the wheel at the moment of just in front of Pantani at the back, because Casagrande is another guy who could actually do
I'm going to allow the riders behind.
Everybody talks about Casagrande being the star of the future. Which very often means you never are, but he has a brother as well, Filippo, who also had a win this year, one win for him, a stage 5 it was of the Tour of Italy.
So that provides a tactical advantage.
He's only had a couple of wins, but he's had some terrific performances under the belt as well. Now Frankie setting the pace, followed by Pelliccioli. Then comes the Spanish. Then the Swiss. They only go in the breakaway, Sorensen with the white stripes on his jersey. And then further down, I think we're looking at the riders who are waiting for the chance to springboard. The likes of Casagrande and Marco Pantani. Again back into the rain. Again Puttini is not now putting all of his enthusiasm into this breakaway, and I think we're about to see the train catch up. The Italian Express on the flat road before we go through the starting fence and climb the mountain again. It looks to me as though we're going to come all together right-hand bend. It will be, in fact, the first man to pick him up will be Lanfranchi, followed by Pelliccioli.
Polycarp and Smolder.
That was a terrific chase down by the two Italians. They received absolutely no assistance. The race went to the end of the 12th lap. They were away all the 13th lap. They were away almost all of the 14th lap. Now we have 18 riders in front. Now the Spanish have played the cards. They've got their man caught. The next obvious thing to do, if they're going to continue the trend, is to attack. Because they've got all the men in this breakaway to continue to put the pressure on the rest of the group. But in fact, here comes the move from the Spanish riders again. Alana, no, I thought Alana was going to have a go there, but in fact Alana just moved up on the wheel of Pelliccioli. The climb once more starts, with everybody taking very close alignment here once more. Escortine, the rider here is the camera, he still looks pretty cool. Alana 84, and a very strong move down the outside. In fact, that is Jose Gonzalez who's gone for Colombia. And the Spanish reaction is coming again. So you see Spain is so intent on this. I'm not sure that wasn't Miguel Indurain who made the move right there. And in fact, it was number 87 who made the move. So it was Jimenez and Gonzalez. Isn't it amazing how the Spanish speakers now have come into their own in a country where they speak that language? Never had such a world championship in their life. Now up comes, I think it's Mauro Gianetti. And goes straight by. Gonzalez, I don't think he's got a second kick in him, but certainly Jimenez has. This is the rider that caused absolute panic in Colorado when they had the training races over there. And I think contributed to the fact that Lance Armstrong decided he wasn't good enough to come to this World Championship. And instead he went home to Texas. Jimenez then has now come up onto the back wheel. He is very much a man who could pull off this world title. The first ever it would be two for Spain. He's gone up alongside Mauro Gianetti. What a great season Gianetti has had, spoiled only by a rather silly crash in mid-term in the Tour of Switzerland, which caused him to miss the Tour of France. But you know, so often happens if you have a mid-season crash, you allow a little time for the body to recuperate, pressures are gone for a while, you can come back so well around the time of the World Championship, and Gianetti may well be heading for victory here too. So, Mauro Gianetti and Jimenez. We've got rider 83, that's Escortine again, but I think he's going the other way at the moment. His legs have gone to rubber and Escortine has lost ground. So after that long breakaway, sadly, he's done his job well. It didn't work out, but it certainly split the group because of the efforts, and now the Spanish again have left their strong men into the thick of the action here. And a number of riders have lost contact there. Still sitting at the back though, Dimitri Konishev, Olivier Rincon, this great Colombian climber. Colombia are going to take this race right down to the finishing line. You can't ask more than that from the home side. Remember, Colombians never feature in the World Championship. Put it on their own ground, and they've got riders right in at the kick, and that's tremendous. Indurain here as well.
Only problem with putting in a strong effort like I am today is they've not going to have the energy to do a proper climb afterwards.
We now look at Mauro Gianetti, who's 31 years of age and been a professional now for 10 years. He's never had a great result in the World Championship, although he's certainly ridden a few for Switzerland. And now he's in towards the kill here in this one, on what is a very, very tough circuit indeed. But he has for a passenger right now, and it doesn't seem to be working that hard either. It's Jimenez, and he may just be wanting to play the policeman, because Indurain is coming up in what is now a smaller group behind. Pantani leading the reaction again for Italy. The Italians always having to drag this race back together, but now Pantani is the only Italian left in the group, and that is why he's having to do the work. The man who's surprising me is number 7 there, Israel Ochoa. He's in that breakaway with Konishev. He is still in final selection. Jimenez, Gianetti, sure is last much longer now. And Tommy, wonderful little climber, keeping the tempo going very, very well indeed. Abraham sitting on the wheel of his teammate, Miguel Indurain. And there's Gianetti, bronze legs, and he's spent his summer riding thousands of kilometres, mostly in nice weather. It's not rust, it is brown skin, because the rain today has been rather tremendous in the middle, especially. So life begins at 31 for Amaro. The win this year, the years last on the ace in the Amstel Gold Race. Last year, I think his best performance would have come when he finished 9th in the Tour of Lombardy, and that's a race still to come yet this season. And there's a fit gentleman on the right. He runs fast enough, he might get lift off with that K1. From the field, slowly coming back. It's been a lot of hard work by Marco Pantani with no help from anybody else. But I think he'll have done the job. Now, whether he's wasted too much energy, time running out, but once again, a brilliant tactic by this strong Spanish team. And Rincon looks as though he's in a little bit of trouble. Oliveira Rincon is tracking on a hill. He knows like the back of his hand because he lives here. But that race has gone on. It looks as though it's going to be just one lap too far for Oliveira. You get all the support, that's for sure, but Rincon out at mid-term with an injury, and now losing ground on the front here as they climb up towards the two leaders. But did you notice there that Dmitry Konishev, and here he is, I was about to say, quickly got round Rincon and rejoined, but in fact he hasn't rejoined, and Konishev is also going off the back. Well, you can almost feel the agony with these riders because it is quite terrible on this climb today now, and there's not many more climbs left, but 15 times up this mountain, and believe me, that's what it is, has made this a ridiculously tough championship. But even so, it says a lot for this very select group of riders to survive for the sprint, if that's what it's going to be. And nobody would have bet on that at the start of the race today. So it looks as though the Spanish are going to have to think again now. The tactics so far have been nothing short of textbook. Swiss riders too. Perhaps we're not paying enough attention to the likes of Pascal Richard, because there's a man who is an extremely strong rider who wouldn't surprise at all if he managed to turn out a winning ride in a world championship. Perhaps in some people's eyes is long overdue. He's been a pro for 10 years, just like Gianetti, and indeed I was around when he won the World Cyclocross Championship back in 1988, when he just signed a new team sponsored by Lionel and got off to a great start. He hasn't yet won a world title, although last year he did land the King of the Mountains in the Tour of Italy and indeed won his home Tour of Switzerland for the first time, a race in which previously he had come second. So, he's got the form, I think, and now we'll see if he can finish off the rest of this race today. So the Swiss still have two men up front. Danes, I don't think have got any longer Ross Salts. I don't see him in there at all. And this man, who has been something of a hero all day, is now for the first time in a little bit of trouble. This is Ochoa. He has ridden magnificently, this rider, and he is not going to give up. He's going to suffer all the way to the finish, and the crowd appreciate it. He was in that break with Konishev, and now it's again just proved one hill too far for him as he loses ground. The relentless tempo being set by this ever-decreasing, very select band of professional bike riders. And now we've got in this group here setting the pace. We've got Richard and his teammate Gianetti, and Indurain here is sitting at the back of the group, and in fact I think he asked him the question if he's got a problem. Now I think he's got a puncture, but because of the situation he's taken immediately a bite. He didn't even wait for a wheel change. What a time to puncture. That was Konishev who went through on his inside. And I'm not too sure whether Dimitri will have any legs to even race back with Miguel Indurain. If he did, Miguel can get back. Now here's a man who's taking no chances, but he's on a strange bicycle now. He's starting off, he looks a little bit clumsy as well. So Indurain, a flat tyre it was, nothing more serious than that. It wasn't a bike breakage, but he made a very quick decision for a bike and not a wheel. And there's the proof of that wide decision. He's pedaling straight back onto the group, and I'm not even too sure whether certain members in this group know he's even in trouble. Well, there is a sign of a brilliant rider, and indeed a man who's made it quite clear. First water there, by the way, it's washing off the mountain. But this is a man now who quite clearly has come here to win the world title and take the double. Double of the time trial and the World Road Race Championship, and the prospects next year of becoming the first bike rider to do the other double, the Tour de France and the MTB KLINGENBERG. So place your bets now, quickly, before he wins the world title today. Indurain now gets to close in on the breakaway. He makes it all look too easy. No panic. Just makes his way back, calmest of measures. And don't forget that Konishev was with him. We've just seen him pass Konishev and he never came back. So we've got 3, 6, 9 riders. Oh, maybe it's like 3, 6, 9 riders there are. That's all that's left now. There was originally 18, we dropped 9 the last time up the hill in 1s and 2s. Originally, of course, 98. Now there are just the 9 riders. And still, the Spanish hold all of the cards here. The Italians are down to just Marco Pantani. The Spanish are down to, I think it's 4 riders still here. Colombians have all gone on the last climb, Rincon, and then Ochoa. Russia have lost their man, Konishev. The Swiss still have 2 here, Pascal Richard and Mauro Gianetti. And the French still have a Richard Beret, so there's still a lot of people to shout for. Nobody in the lead now. It's a matter of cat and mouse until somebody feels the time is right to have a go. The majority of this breakaway will be watching for the movement of Miguel Indurain. Indurain might well ask one of his teammates to start the attacking again, just to keep the pressure on. And Tony will be the second favourite, I would have thought now. Down off the mountain top, down to 8,300 feet, and then it's your hard out again as you climb back up an elevation of 1,200 feet yet again. One rider stealing quite a launch there on the descent. Descent to be able to get that back down to our moto cameras. Changing formation in the red line here, so the red that rider is 1 or 2 riders interested to close the gap down very, very quickly. And now we'll find out. And in fact, this is the rider from Switzerland. And it looks to me as though we've got Pascal Richard on the attack. I expected to do something. He's such a good rider. Pascal Richard, and the counter-attack coming as well in Alano. That was, I knew he said injured because they look so much alike, but Alano has gone up to him. And the other rider is Jimenez yet again. So we've got 3 riders here now. And that's Gianetti looking over his shoulder. So we've got Richard, Jimenez and Alano. And Konishev here has got back. Took him a bit longer than Big Mig, who's just in front of him. And also, Rincon has come back as well after the descent. So Rincon is not out of this yet either. The professionals fighting every inch inch of the way today. They're declaring all of the real natural talent as bike riders to stay in competition. And in fact, just sitting up there to eat, that was Pascal Richard, so they've put the breakaway on. Roland now taking time out to eat, but attack here, this is Indurain. Indurain has decided to launch an attack and see what becomes of it, and he's gone back and looked on his wheel. Dimitri Konishev. Konishev must have come on the back, saw Indurain, he's gone straight through off the front with him. Well, Konishev can't have much left in those legs. The way to do it is to try and steal a march and hang on for the finish. Clouds are still very, very dark and more rain threatening, but Miguel Indurain has now launched the feared attack that sooner or later, surely, they all expected to come. And Konishev was just in the right place as it went. Still trying to eat at the same time there, which is Romano Gianetti has crossed the gap. It might be Richard. Checking out when we can get back up with the leaders. If our cameraman doesn't hit the wall, it was almost cut out of it there by the line and riders as they went through. They were desperate to grab the wheels of the men in front. And in fact, it wasn't up front of Gianetti, because here's Richard beginning to feel a bit sorry for the world right now, because he'd just been caught as Indurain launched that attack. And in fact, Richard was riding no-handed, having somebody to it. Rincon and Gianetti waving them round. They managed to contain Big Mig. Konishev now having time out on the far right. Pantone was the rider who quickly recovered from the attack, and another one goes down the outside. This is Abraham Alano. Put his head down and went. Now Alano was eating when Miguel Indurain attacked. Indurain has come back. Now he's digested his lunch, and he's got Abraham Alano has put in a great attack. Indurain looking over his shoulder, trying to tempt somebody to chase. Indurain won't attack him. Alon's a rival train team rider. They'll both ride for Spain here. Indurain just trying to attract somebody to come through, and nobody will react. Well, this could be a fatal mistake for Pantone, and the so too for Mauro Gianetti. Gianetti signaling, I think, to Pascal Richard to come up and do some work as well. Or maybe even Olivier Rincon doesn't seem too interested. Certainly neither does Richard. He's looking over the top of both of them here. Which could be, it's calling in fact to Richard, his only teammate in the breakaway. They must know that Indurain will not react. There's no point in just waiting for him to react. They're allowing Alano a terrific advantage. Alano is now a speck in the distance. And I wonder what Indurain is thinking now. Chance of a world title is gone. Don't worry, it's my teammate, but does he really want to be in Alano's place? Difficult decision. Remember that Alano beaten by Indurain in the race of truth, the time trial. The moment you can do about your order of finish there, because you can't see what's going on. Best time gets the best result. But now you can see what's going on. Bell lap this time. Alano is clear. He faces just one lap, 17.7 kilometres, after almost 7 hours on a day of absolute torture. Abraham Alano, they say, is Miguel Indurain double. Well, now he's going to try and match him with a world title. Indurain trying to draw them out. He's watching everybody. He wants somebody to go and he can take the wheel, but he will not endanger the lead of Alano. He's going to ride round and he's going to watch and stare everybody in the face, and if anybody moves, he'll go with them. The bag is up. He's signaling no, he wants a drink, and now he sees the drink and he gets it. Pantone, the final drink for the final 17.7 kilometres. There looks to me to be enough water in the sky on the road right now. This superb small group of elite racing cyclists who have made the final cut in the World Championship 1995. And Dimitri Konishev, the elastic is stretched and stretched. He found his back, stretched again, still there. And there goes the counter-attack now. And you see Indurain always watching who it's coming from. And with arrogant ease comes out of the saddle and tries to bring them back. Now he moves across. He wants Pantone to take up the chase. Pantone is the rider he's worried about. Along, I would think, with Pascal Richard, with Mauro Gianetti going through. He spotted a Swiss jersey, and in fact, Indurain taking that, making Pantone chase. Rincon digging deep. He's also closed down. There are two riders up front there, and I'm not too sure of who they are at the moment, but it looks to me as though at least one of them is another Spaniard. Which is quite amazing the way the Spanish have written this race today. In fact, we've got a lot of riders here. I think it's a chance to come back on. I didn't see who join the race, but he's now in this group here. And the other rider looks to me as though it's Jimenez. So the little bit of respite after Alano went, and this very, very strong little Colombian climber started right back into this racing game. But they've also been caught. And while they're playing this cat and mouse game, this man here is getting on with the job, and that's winning a world title. What a year he's had. Indeed, he follows up from a great year last year when he had 8 victories and finished 5th in the World Championship time trial. Well, this time he's won. He got silver medal to Indurain, and this is how he's launched the attack today. As we look back here, it was a perfect classic move coming from the back of the field and shooting far and wide over the top of the head of the group. And he did it when he had a teammate on the front. In this case, it was Miguel Indurain. He knew Miguel wouldn't chase him, and Miguel, by the very fact he was there, has put the others off the counter-attack. A good move, and now nobody is willing to take up the chase. See that timing it is the right block of the second. Now we go back to the action once more. Here it is. Abraham Olano, second in the Tour of Spain, and won all 3 time trials in the Tour of Spain this year. And it's very unusual for a man that wins all the time trials not to run out the winner of the race, but in fact the Tour of Spain found Lord Jalabert after monstrously for. And Jalabert now the new world #1 because of his fine riding in the Tour of Spain. No Jalabert here, and Olano now free as a bird at the moment. The select group behind has continued to swell again. 1 or 2 riders all the way back. We've seen Buffon come back, we've seen Hutchett come back. There's so many times here in Spanish and in every fight today. I'm not surprised that the sport has taken up so much now. Unlike in the days when there's heavy raps in Belgium, or the local start behind him, it's quite clear now that behind everything you're in Spain, there are plenty of big stars coming through. Antoni now heavy and still hoping to win something of this World Championship. Must be feeling very, very concerned indeed. Casagrande has got back up here to go over the pace moving forward. Struggling to get back and now go straight to the front to try and reduce the deficit on this final climb of Abraham Olano. 31 is Richard, 14 is Colin Shedd. Richard Berling is still here, the only Frenchman to survive today. Team car has just gone through to Spain, heading up to the man in the lead. They're looking down the bunch all day today, servicing riders in the breakaways. Apart from the very first breakaway by Ronald Group, who was from France, the Spanish. And it looks to me now as though the life is beginning to slip away, because if they're going to just wait for one rider to do all the pace making, they are not going to catch up. Well, I said right at the beginning of our program, the first World Championship was held in 1927. Since that time, we've never seen a world champion of either amateur, professional, or women's road racing, believe it or not, from Spain. Now, all that is seen is about to change. Abraham Olano, he will be a surprise, will something many people's butts, but not to the experts, because here's a rider who has shown us for the last 2 years he has been progressing and winning the big ones. 30th in the Tour de France last year, 20th in the Tour of Spain, and the national champion of Spain in the time trial. This year he's got better in every discipline, second in the Tour of Spain, second in the World Championship time trial, and now trying to get one over the wall and become the most coveted rider in the world of cycling, professional champion of the world. Casagrande feeling the quicker strength they must have left now to try and get Antoni back onto the podium. Jimenez sitting just behind him, never going to help him. Marco Pantoni, a little bit confused now, he doesn't know whether to help or say disappointed he can't be world champion, but at the same time he played a major part in seeing that the Spanish rider has won a world title today, and it looks like that. In second and third.
Got cramp in my right hamstring. With about 50 metres to go.
One rainbow jersey already.
That's why I coasted at the very end.
Colombia. And it's set to be 2. Well, the Colombian flag keeping pace here with an Italian and a Spanish rider. So many riders now only interested in seeing the finishing line, not finishing. And the finishing himself takes a pretty powerful sprint. And Champagne remembers to his captain shoulder. Coincidentally, going off as the riders approach the finish to give them hopefully a dry sprint. And I think from about midway down this pack now, there's nobody interested in the chase.
I thought the onset of cramp in my right leg when I was on that rolling segment near the end. You look on the roof out the bottom, you see that orange line. So I felt the onset of cramp when I was on that section. So I adjusted my position and worked through it. However, the final 800 metres or so,
well, the crowd will recognise the Spanish colours. They know when they shout at this rider, he will understand every word they say.
There's a sudden sharp cramp pain, and I had to stop pedalling and stand up as like an emergency pause. Look at my sergeant on it now. But if I moved my legs even like another metre or so or another pedal turn, then it would have been proper cramp. And
acceleration again, crack people like Ross Sorensen, Rincon is gone. Pascal Richard is hanging, but not looking very clever right now. Indurain is still in the line. Pantoni is up the road. If Pantoni can catch Iannetti, then they won't turn around the pace of this race yet. Richard Laurent, the gifted climber of the Tour de France these past 2 years, is now lying 40 line on the final climb here in Guitara.
I'm just using the emergency massage on my leg now.
So we have Pantoni, Indurain, Mauro Gianetti, Richard at the back of the group, the red between the Swiss sandwich. Status quo, these 5 riders. That may have damaged a little bit Alano's lead, that flurry of activity on the climb, but here's Alano now, this massive crowd here, watching the Spaniard climb to what looks to me certainly a world championship now. Abraham Alano surely couldn't possibly have dreamt of being a world champion by the end of this day. Not when you have the obvious candidate on your team in Miguel Indurain. The Spanish have raced between themselves so absolutely fairly. They have played their cards to beat everybody else and quite clearly haven't minded who took the title as long as it was from Spain. They've ridden totally brilliantly. Totally unselfish attitude too by Indurain, who has done nothing at all to damage the lead of Alano. He has marked every move. I would suggest he would dearly like a free lift up to Alano, and then he could race again, but even so, he will do nothing to damage the lead of him. He's sitting here right behind Marco Pantani, dropping through onto the inside of his chain wheel as they climb the steeper slopes of the big mountain here in Guitana. Always conscious of what's going on around him, but he's certainly not going to go past Pantani at this point. Renk is the rider tacked on the back. The two Swiss riders are here, Richard and Ginetti. The rest have all gone now. There they are in the distance, and in theory this should now be the breakaway. The man missing from that group was Konishev. We didn't see him go, but he's gone. And he's the rider probably in the far distance there. Pantani is turning on the pressure, but he's not ridding himself of Miguel Indurain. The only Spanish rider left now. And they've all been dispatched out the back door, except of course Alano. What a great race it's been for Switzerland as well. They've had men in the action throughout. Gianetti clearly recovered. Accident. And Pascal Richard.
Okay, that was an okay, pretty good effort, I think, because
further up the slopes now.
a bit of a slow start.
A little bit.
Although we did start on time, it will take 1 or 2 seconds, but still a slow start. Didn't start in the sprint. And my screen also paused for a while.
And there you can see the gap. Is that the gap of a world champion or not? We're going to find out pretty quickly now. The two Swiss riders, and Virenque has disappeared from this picture. It looks as though Virenque has lost. There he is. So Richard Virenque has also lost ground. He's gone into the slipstream of the cars, but he's even too far behind them right now. So Richard has cracked as well, leaving two Swiss, a Spanish rider and an Italian in